intermittent fasting is a powerful, powerful tool to jumpstart your body, to teach it how to burn fat. Would you like me to tell you about that? Yes. All right. That was a very enthusiastic response. So, first thing, just like, interestingly, many of these things will also optimize your gut flora. The first thing is to limit your carbohydrates. Not a lot of breads, not a lot of grains, and certainly not sugars or processed foods. This is something that's not obviously intuitive and something I didn't appreciate until relatively recently, within the last year or two, actually. And I've come to the conclusion that obviously most people believe, and I think that the average person who eats primarily vegetables is probably healthier than the average person who doesn't. But the question is why? I think obviously vegetables, everyone needs them. There's no argument about that, but is there some other factor for that? Well, when you're eating a lot of vegetables and excluding animal products, you're not getting a lot of protein. I mean, vegetables have protein, no question. They just don't have a lot. So by definition, almost, you have a low protein diet. And I think that's a good thing for most people. Most people in the United States eat way too much protein. And I think the problem with meat is not so much that people are eating meat or eating the wrong meat, which is, of course, an issue, but they eat way too much. And excessive meat will cause huge problems. It stimulates a specific metabolic pathway called mTOR, which is short for mammalian target of rapamycin, which is an ancient pathway. It's been around for a long, long time, but has only recently been discovered, and rapamycin is an anti-cancer drug. And that's how they discovered this pathway. So turns out when you have a lot of protein, it stimulates this pathway, which stimulates malignancies and cancer. If you have too much, now you obviously have to have protein. Now the other part of becoming fat fuel adapted is that you have high quality fats, like avocados. Yes, indeed. It's probably one of the best fats you can have is avocado fat. Coconut oil, another phenomenal fat. Really, really good, especially when you're doing this transition, because coconut oil is metabolized really quickly, and as a result of that, it will give you energy because it's difficult to go into this transition. And then, of course, lots of green vegetables. If you want to implement intermittent fasting, one of the keys is to essentially do it gradually. You don't do this all at once. But it's another term for this is called scheduled eating, so that you're restricting your calories to about an 8 or 10 hour window. Well, actually, 12-hour, 6 to 8 hour window is the goal. So, and the way to achieve, so there's 16 to 18 hours you're not eating anything, except maybe a few snacks initially. You can drink as much water as you want. So when you're sleeping, of course, you're not eating anything. So if you're sleeping for 8 hours, you've got already 8 hours over your belt. So the key is to add another 3 hours beforehand, so don't eat anything before 3 hours before you go to bed. And that kind of helps a lot. So then you're already at 11 hours, and then you just delay the time that you have breakfast. You know, because we're all told breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right? Have you heard that before? Do you believe it? All right, that's right. That's the key. Because, and you know, in breakfast, you know, eating serves many functions. Obviously, if we didn't eat, we'd be dead. Well, at least unless you believe in breatharians. But it serves, aside from the nutritional component, there's a social component. So, you know, in breakfast, you're hanging out with not many people, usually yourself, right? Typically, unless you have a family. But even then, you know, everyone's running around. So, and then if you're out eating, the options aren't that good. You know, it's the worst meal of the day. So it's an easy one to skip. And so you just gradually extend the time you eat breakfast until your first meal is at lunch, in which, you know, is typically, so you've done it. And so like 12 o'clock, and then, you know, you in that window. And it may take a few weeks. And in that few weeks, you might be a little hungry. It might be difficult to do, and it'll require a little self-discipline and willpower. But the coolest thing is that after you become fat fuel adapted, your hunger disappears. You have metabolic freedom and flexibility. You are not a slave to your food anymore and your food cravings, which is just such a powerful intervention. And what that will do, it will guarantee, it will get you those six-pack abs for sure, because intermittent fasting is one of the best ways to do that, assuming you're eating the right types of foods within that 6-hour window, which most people here understand. So it's just nothing short of phenomenal. It's magical.